Welcome to Night Shadows. I'm Stuart Best, where the paranormal is normal, where that which you thought you knew, you didn't, and where the future can be known if you know exactly where to look.
Well, good evening, everyone. I'm Stuart. We have Larry on board here to give us a kind of an update. There's a lot going on behind the scenes that, of course, nobody really knows what's cooking, but something surely is. Hi, Larry. How are you doing?
Hey, Stuart. Thanks for having me.
Where do we want to start? Maybe we could start with the Trump wars. And I think we could definitely call them wars because that seems to be exactly what it is. Everything that Trump tries to do, we have this block of Democrats, and now, unfortunately, also a small block of, I don't know what they call themselves, Republicans that don't want to do anything, stopping him at just about every move. Then we have the courts that are going to challenge everything he does. The last thing I heard was that Schumer and the rest of those Democrats were going to try to pull out all the stops to stop Gorsuch from becoming the next Supreme Court justice. Have you heard any more about that?
Not other than what you just said. They seem to be planning on stopping that. Matter of fact, they're stopping anything that Trump does, and at the same time, I think some of the Republican establishment are also, the way they look at it, Trump was never to be president to start with, and they're scratching their heads and trying to figure out how he ever got there. And now that he's there, they want to remove him too. I mean, it's not just the Democrats; it's a lot of the Republican bloc. And I'll tell you what's interesting is this recent report on the UN leaders' support for the Jewish temple, a breath of fresh air. And Guterres, the UN Secretary General, confirming the Jewish temple on the Temple Mount. Isn't that's shocking?
Well, I was kind of wondering about that because the United Nations has steadfastly been against Israel, but maybe they've decided that if they go ahead and kind of encourage it, that the Arab world will simply take care of Israel and they won't have to be bothered with it anymore. I just can't imagine that kind of a shift in their rhetoric, because no matter what Israel has ever done has been wrong, and every move they make towards moving the embassy or anything like that, there's a hue and cry. And didn't the United Nations just a little bit ago pass a resolution against Israel? I'm not exactly sure if I remember all the details of it, but it was definitely anti-Israel to the core.
Oh, absolutely. However, the UN ambassador of the U.S., Nikki Haley, did stand up and say no. So the Trump administration certainly is standing behind Israel and not going there with the UN as Obama and his group did. So, and I did hear that David Friedman, the new appointed, Trump appointee for the ambassador to Israel, was supposed to have been sworn in by Vice President Pence today sometime. Now, I don't know if that's occurred yet, but it seems like there is a move in that direction.
Well, has anything come to light of that remark from the United Nations? I mean, has Israel responded to it in any way because Trump had kind of put the brakes on Netanyahu to slow down this embassy move and definitely slow down the temple move. Has any remark come out of the White House? I couldn't find any on it about the UN's remark, or was that fake news? You never know anymore.
No, I don't. No, I don't believe it was fake news. The U.S. just took a stand and they didn't back that resolution. But what's interesting is the fact that Netanyahu has tried to lower the rhetoric somewhat in Jerusalem about the Temple Mount and about the embassy move, et cetera, except on the other hand, at the same time, he's announcing the establishment of more settlements in the area of the West Bank. And, of course, anytime he does that, there's problems, and he's moving forward on that. Not only has Trump really got his hands full as far as so many forces, especially the rich men, wanting him out of that office, Netanyahu is under the most massive attacks right now politically to remove him and his government from office. So we are coming to an apex, Stuart, and I'd like your opinion on that. We're coming to an apex. What is going to happen to Donald Trump and what is going to happen to Netanyahu? And maybe even if Trump is Cyrus, who is Darius the Mede?
That's a good question because I know originally Trump was going to send his son-in-law over, if I'm not mistaken, to handle that and thought he could do a good job, but then he got tied up in other things, couldn't go, so they've got somebody else over there now negotiating. But the way I look at this thing, there has to be a war before there can be a temple. And from the reports you've made and stuff I've read, it seems to me that the war rhetoric over there is really starting to increase. What's the latest? Have you heard anything from your people over there? I mean, this thing seems to just be cranking up very slowly in the background, and it's going to explode. We know that.
Yeah, the people that I'm hearing from have already advised me that it appears that Israel is going to war, and that they've been in their drills, which the drills are actually movement of military equipment across the country to certain locations. They've got a strategic plan to defend Jerusalem and an offensive plan, by the way. Matter of fact, the Russian, guy, Lieberman, that is now the Secretary of Defense, so to speak, in Israel, has even announced that when Hezbollah begins a rocket fire, that Lebanon will not look the same ever again. And he's also threatening Hamas, and they've called up their Guard reserve units and also tank forces and missile batteries, and they're getting ready to go to war. And of course, at the same time, with us still poking and everybody around Trump poking at Russia, and it's almost like they want to go to war with Russia, and I can't even imagine what a war between the U.S. and Russia really would look like.
Well, people can read Ezekiel 38 and 39, and they'll find that the attack upon the United States is right in there. It's a very interesting take on how it's worded, but basically what it says is when Israel is invaded by the Gog-Magog coalitions, that when they're already into Israel, when they're already parachuting down on the mountains, that they think an evil thought, let's go up to the land of unwalled villages, to them that are at rest, who have gotten rich in cattle and goods. Well, when you say go up, you go up over the North Pole, and who do you run into? It's the United States. And we have gotten rich in cattle and goods. And it says they take a prey. That's definitely an attack, and you can collate that into Jeremiah 50:51, Isaiah 47, Revelation 18. It all fits together like a glove. If the shoe fits, people should wear it. So my warning has always been to everyone, when you see the Gog-Magog coalition go down upon Israel, when Israel is attacked, we probably have a day, maybe two, maybe a week, maybe a month, but it's going to be right away that we are going to be taken out, which only makes sense from a military point of view, because we're the only one who could come to Israel's defense. Now, Obama would not defend, but Trump probably would, or maybe he doesn't either. I'm very, very suspicious of Trump right now. He's doing some things that, like he's backing a two-state solution over there. Everybody was jumping all over Obama for that. And how bad it was.
Yeah,
now Trump's done the same thing.
Yeah, it's really interesting where that scenario is going, and at the same time, you've mentioned the Daniel 8 war, so to speak, and Depthfile posted a headline today. It says all 15 Arab summit resolutions blast Iran for harmful meddling in the Middle East Arabs' affairs. And so now the Arab summit, which is in progress in Jordan, by the way, is now blasting Iran. Now, Iran won't take that lightly. And, of course, Israel seems for the moment to be supporting some of those Arab summit attendees.
Yes.
And this is going to make Iran more irate than they are already.
Yeah, that could happen anytime. We could just wake up to that war, because it says pretty much in there, I think, that it goes without much notice. They just suddenly do it. So all we can do, I guess, is watch and monitor the Middle East and the powder keg over there. And then we got another powder keg in North Korea. And, of course, we have the bots, not the bots, but Dr. Doom, and North Korea's nuclear little ignition out of anger. So and we're running exercises over there right now, are we not?
Oh, absolutely. We've got a fleet of ships, and also they've moved armor and actually attack drones and missile batteries, into South Korea. And the interesting thing is they're just waiting. They've got satellite images of the test location for this possible nuke or other, whatever big blast he's planning, we're talking about. They're just waiting. They expect it any time.
Okay. Getting back to Trump, surveillance. This deal, I don't know why this keeps going on, because we've already heard that it's under total and complete surveillance. Everybody is. Snowden said so. WikiLeaks said so. And now we have Evelyn Karkas, I guess, admitted. She was a Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense under Obama, that efforts were in fact made to surveil Trump and his people. And I understand Judge Napolitano's back.
Yeah. He announced the surveillance of Trump began even under the Obama administration using some British spy agency people, even when the campaign was ongoing, and he got thrown off Fox. Now, Fox has had to bring him back on, and he says he didn't take back any word he said. He said, my statement on Trump surveillance was accurate, and I stand behind it. So he's back, and I think a little more at a time's coming out that this surveillance was under the Obama administration, and as you said, they're surveilling everybody. This shouldn't shock anybody.
I know, yeah. What about this article that was just posted here just the other day about they're thinking maybe Planet 9, and you and I have both suspected maybe this could be Planet X, but they're saying now that Planet 9 probably is Planet X, and so we should start seeing it. Well, I've seen a lot of these pictures, but I don't know, and we're running out of time here. Any more news on the sun real quick?
The sun's only got 2 sunspots at the moment, and they're beginning to face Earth, and the Earth is right now under geomagnetic storm, a G2 storm, which can affect satellites. So we're getting a steady stream of protons. The sun is active without being active, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, it sounds like the sun disease of Cliff High's bots. Anyway, how do they reach you, Larry, before we run out of seconds here?
Okay, the quickest way is my blog, LarryWTaylor.org.
Okay. Anything else you got real quick?
No, other than storms, very strange and anomalous storms are all over the United States right now, and we can talk about more of that Friday.
Yeah, okay. We'll see everybody Friday with at least an hour-long update, and good night, everybody, and thanks for listening.